Madridistas, welcome back to the channel. Let's talk about the Stuttgart match last night, which was a very difficult, very labored victory against a very good side. We had the return of Jude and Tchouaméni, which was very good news. I don't think too many of us expected that a few days prior to the match. Once again, I find myself saying that the 3 points, the victory is probably, the best news coming out of this match. But once again, Real Madrid has a unique ability, and I don't think there's any other club in the world that can do this so consistently, a unique ability to win these types of matches. Matches where you're not playing particularly well, where you're getting peppered, and the other team has plenty of chances, but just the ability to sort of find the moment to bite and to snatch victory where it otherwise doesn't seem possible. It was an incredible night, very tense. I almost had a heart attack more than once. There were 25,000 Germans that came to Madrid. They were all hanging out in the old part of town all day. But Real Madrid only gives 4,000 seats to the away team. But these guys were really loud. I can tell you they were very, very loud in the Bernabeu. But let me give you my thoughts on the match itself. And then I'll give you my sort of, key takeaways, mostly bad, but some good ones as well. So anyway, thanks for joining me as always. Let's talk about the Stuttgart match. All right, beloved Madridistas, welcome back. Okay, let's talk about, first let's talk about the match itself. This was, the first 20 minutes were just horrible, absolutely horrible. In the first 16 minutes, and I watched the game at home after, we came back from the stadium and watched it one more time. In the first 16 minutes, Stuttgart had 5 chances. I think one of them was potentially offside, but the first 20 minutes were just very, very hard to watch. We just could not get the ball off the Stuttgart players. When we did get the ball, it never lasted in our feet, more than 2 or 3 passes. Stuttgart was just having such an easy time moving the ball around. You had the impression in those first 20 minutes that it was 11 versus 13. You just felt that their players were so well positioned on the pitch, and we clearly were not. It was, if you notice, every time a Stuttgart player had the ball, he had support short, and they had the threat of long. So every time they had way too much time on the ball, way too much time to think, and no matter how much we ran, because it felt like we were running like crazy, but it didn't have any sort of effect. We were always a little bit too late getting to where we needed to be to press the ball properly. And the Stuttgart players just had plenty of time. And whenever one of them received the ball, he had at least 2 or 3 players short with which to play. And there was always the threat of the long pass because they had time on the ball. So the first 20 minutes were just very, very, very difficult. Plenty of chances. And we were sort of lucky to get out of that first 20 minutes alive at 0-0. Now, slowly, as the game progressed, Real Madrid, slowly started to get, back into the match. Mbappe had a very good chance, a very good play on the left that he couldn't quite finish. Rodrigo had another fantastic run on the right. But still, even as Real Madrid kind of worked their way back into the match, Stuttgart continued to look dangerous. They still looked dangerous. They were still able to move the ball forward very quickly. And in the 28th minute, they hit the crossbar. I would say in the first half, one thing I would mention, I think Jude played a very, very important role. He worked incredibly hard as always, and we'll discuss that. But Jude, I think, was pivotal, one of our better players. Rodrigo was the most active player, I think, offensively, creating danger on the right. But despite the sort of very poor first half, you did sort of see flashes of kind of the technical skill that the squad has. Now, the penalty in the 33rd minute, I agree that it was canceled, and I agree because In real time, it was very difficult to see if Rudiger, had gotten kicked or not. But in the replay on TV, we saw it later at home. I think it was the right decision. There really was no contact on Rudiger. So anyway, that's sort of how the first half ended. Now in the second half, Militao came in as center back and pushed Carvajal back to right back, which is his natural position. I think Ancelotti sort of saw more than he needed to see to bring Militao in off the bench. And then very quickly at the beginning of the second half in the 46th minute, we had an absolutely spectacular pass by Tchouaméni, a beautiful run by Rodrigo, and then a wonderful pass to Kylian, who was waiting completely alone in the center of the box. So that goal kind of came very quickly at the beginning of the second half. A minute after that, Kylian had another very, very good chance in the 47th minute. This time it was just a beautiful pass by Jude, who had some just beautiful displays of technique and intelligence in this match. In the 58th minute, a wonderful long ball to Carvajal that he controlled with just a beautiful first touch. A wonderful play, and Vini hit the crossbar on that one. And at this point, you did get the feeling that Real Madrid was just starting to impose itself a little bit on the match. Now, in the 66th minute, Tchouaméni loses a ball in a very dangerous situation. And as the play progresses, about a minute later, but as a function of that loss, the Germans won a corner kick, and that's where their goal came from. So, this was sort of the tonic of the second half, where we looked a lot better, we're creating chances, but the Germans still look very dangerous in possession and still look quite comfortable on the ball. In the 74th minute, we had our changes. Fran and Arda came in for Mendy and Rodrigo. Mendy didn't have the greatest game of his life on this occasion, and I think in the case of Rodrigo, it seemed like just fatigue. But those changes, I think, were generally positive in my view. In the 80th minute, we had another change. Jude came out. In this case, it was definitely exhaustion because the guy runs himself into the ground, and he was coming off an injury, hadn't played in about a month. So it was definitely fatigue, and he brought Enric in. And then, in the 82nd minute, we had the goal from Rudiger, which was a beautiful pinpoint corner kick by Luka Modric that could not have been placed any better, and the goal, putting us up 2-1. You had Vini, in extra time. Vini had another very, very good chance 3 minutes after the 90th minute, and then of course, in the last breath of the match, Enric just, what a wonderful goal! Picks up the ball very deep in his own half, runs unbelievably just straight up the middle, and with an incredible amount of composure and an exceptional amount of power, just unleashes a shot that the goalkeeper just didn't have time to get down quickly enough. I mean, this ball came dry with no spin, and this kid put so much power behind that ball that the goalkeeper was able to touch it, but there was no way he was going to stop it because just there was so much power behind it. So again, one of those matches that, Real Madrid, we still look disjointed. I think one of the big problems that we have is taking the ball out of the back. And if a team, if the opposing team presses high, we have a really hard time getting the ball out and into play. It's very frustrating that transition play just isn't there with the kind of automatic speed that we seemed to have last year. And again, we miss Tony so much because he was an expert in situations like this to sort of remove the pressure, when the other team is pressing high. He just had a wonderful way of just getting the ball to the right place. But this is an area that I think we're still struggling with. The lines still feel a bit too separate. I think that even when we press defensively, it feels like we're always out of position. It just feels to me like the players are out of position. There's a lot of running and there's a huge amount of effort, and the players are playing with incredible intensity, but it seems inefficient. Our press doesn't quite do what it's supposed to do. We seem to get a little, we're a second late to every press, and then when we recover the ball, the transition just it's not automatic, it's not quick, it's very labored, and we really struggle getting the ball out of the back. So those are kind of, that's my view of sort of the match itself. I do have to give credit to Stuttgart. This is a very, very good side, very disciplined, very well organized, incredibly well placed on the pitch, their decision making on the ball is fantastic. Like I say, they back each other up in short spaces, but they always look threatening with the long balls. So I was very, very impressed with Stuttgart. So we do have to give them a bit of credit because the opponent plays as well. In terms of sort of my general takeaways from the match, I would say, okay, number one, the team is still gelling, and it's obvious that we're still trying to piece this puzzle together, but we have ridiculous individual talent. The amount of individual talent that this team has is capable of salvaging games like this in isolated moments, isolated situations. These are players that can create things out of nothing. So yes, we are still a club that is in transition and trying to gel, but number two, and we have incredible players. Now the silver lining, I would say this is my second takeaway. The silver lining is that while we are going through this adaptation and while we're sort of trying to gel in a new system, playing typically a 4-3-3, this is happening at the beginning of the season and not the end. Okay, so that there is a silver lining in that regard. We're able to win matches despite the poor play, and it's right now it's about just sort of staying competitive, winning matches, even if it doesn't look pretty. So the silver lining is that this is happening at the beginning of the season and not the end. So I'm still quite hopeful that we'll get things together. Number three, the third takeaway is what I just mentioned. We have a lot of problems getting the ball out of the back. Our transition play is very, very poor. It takes way too long to get the ball to the wings. It just takes way too long. That element of surprise just isn't there. In the first half, it certainly wasn't. It improved a little bit in the second half. But our transition play, we really need to improve on. My fourth takeaway would be that Vini deserves a lot of credit for his defensive work. And this is something that Mbappe needs to pick up on, because Vini does an enormous amount of work defensively. He backtracks constantly. He really puts 110% into this. So he attacks with all of his energy, but he is a player that is very generous in terms of his effort. And I think, it is, especially on the pitch, you can really tell the amount of work Vini does. And I think that this is something Mbappe needs to do more of, because he does very little of it now. Takeaway number 5, Courtois is the best goalkeeper in the world. Okay, I mean, bar none. There's just absolutely no doubt in my mind. The security that Courtois gives us in the air, his reflexes down low, his presence in the box is just so overwhelming. This is a player that wins, saves us systematically match after match, and especially in big moments in the Champions League. This is a goalkeeper like none other in the world. So that would be my 5th takeaway. Number 6, Jude is absolutely indispensable in this squad. He is the player that is able to backtrack. First of all, he presses all match, which is insane. I don't know where he gets the energy, but he is a player that in transition is absolutely critical. His distribution is wonderful. He protects the ball incredibly well. He has fantastic technique, great vision in passing. This is a player that we have sorely missed, and who makes a massive difference when he's on the pitch. Okay, takeaway number 7. Fede Valverde was invented in a laboratory. Okay, I don't know how this kid does it. Fede's, physical capabilities are unbelievable. This is a player that covers so much ground. He never looks tired. He sprints as much in the last 5 minutes of the match as he does in the first 5. Fede Valverde is an asset that is absolutely invaluable to us. And he hasn't been injured. He plays consistently, never seems to get tired, never seems to get injured. Fede Valverde is just an extraordinary player, and we are so blessed to have him. Takeaway number 8, Rudiger is an animal, okay? Yesterday he was playing against, massive German players, very powerful physical team, but just nobody beats him. In a physical confrontation, one-on-one, nobody beats Rudiger. He's quick, he's strong, he's resounding, he's uncompromising. He's such a bastion of security in the back. I mean, and of course, he's an aerial threat, like he was yesterday. But Rudiger was absolutely fantastic. Number 9, Arda Güler is a very versatile player, and we do need to use him more and more. I'm very glad that he's getting minutes, but he can play on the right. He can play that position as a sort of right winger, even though he's not particularly speedy. But he can also play that number 10 position. Like if Jude goes off the pitch, he can move into that number 10 position, and his intelligence and distribution are very good. He's very mature, protects the ball very well, doesn't take risks, but is a very intelligent player. That was another, I think, very positive takeaway. And then 10, you have to mention Enric. Okay, this kid has a canyon. It is so difficult to put that much power into a shot. It's extremely difficult to do. It's very difficult to do when you're running at full speed, especially after running 60 meters. This is not the first time since he's arrived that he shows us an incredibly quick release and can put unbelievable power into a shot with both legs. This kid is a massive talent, and I'm really excited, and I'm very happy that Ancelotti brought him out in the 75th minute and not in the 88th. And this is exactly what Ancelotti needs to do more of. So, there are positive takeaways in terms of the individual skill that this team has, the ability that this team has to suffer, but to know when to bite. And it's a team that has an absolutely lethal bite. So Real Madrid continues to have the spirit of a champion. It's just a team that never gives up, that always believes, and that is capable of biting you when you least expect it. So I thought that was very, very encouraging, and we saw some signs of extraordinary individual talent. Some of the passes were unbelievable. Some of the individual technique was outstanding. So again, a poor match by Real Madrid, especially in the first half. And I think a lot of credit to Stuttgart, a really, really well-organized team. So we have a lot to improve, and Ancelotti has his work cut out for him. But we're still winning matches, and we have time to improve play. And we have a plethora of individual skill. And if this does ever gel, it's going to be magnificent to watch. But listen, those are my thoughts on last night's match. And well, let's hope that we keep progressing. But anyway, those are my thoughts. Thanks for joining me as always. And I will see all of you in the next video. And as always, a la Madrid.